Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Grass and Gravel podcast. This will be a weekly podcast where we'll be covering the latest news from the world of football and F1. We'll be also taking a look into different areas of these worlds. We're taking a deeper dive into areas of these sports. I'll be your host, Joe Keane, and I'll be joined weekly by our expert and chief editor of the Pitch Sider, Mr. Toby Green.
Hello there, mate. How you doing?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah,
Had
not
a good
too
week?
bad. Yeah, it's been good.
Been some good football games for us to talk about.
Definitely.
So, should we crack on?
Let's do it. Let's jump in.
So the first game we will be looking at is Premier League from Saturday. Should we start with Southampton Villa? 4-0 to Villa.
Yeah, that was a really good game for Villa. I thought they played really well. In particular, the Douglas Luiz goal, that was phenomenal. A little flick on over the top by Chambers to Coutinho, who just crossed it to Luiz. I just thought that was world class. The way they played in general was really good, actually.
Coutinho looks to be back to his best.
Yeah.
Seeing old glimpses of what it was like at Liverpool, which he hasn't been able to achieve at Barcelona or Bayern Munich.
They did really well at Bayern Munich, actually. He won the Champions League.
That is true. That was a very good Bayern Munich side. So I don't think he did all right, but he didn't sell it a light.
Well, he scored 2 goals against Barcelona while on loan from them, so that was quite good. True. But since he's been with Villa, he's settled in really well, lit up the league almost, you could say.
Watkins and Danny Ings looked to have a good game, 2 assists, goal as well.
Yeah, he's been playing well for them. He's a solid striker. Their front three looks really good, actually. Their whole team, really. Maybe they need some defensive reinforcements, but just in general, their team looks really good for next year if they're able to strengthen on that. I think they'll have a good chance of getting into Europe.
Yeah, they look like they're doing quite well. Should we move to the Chelsea-Burnley game? Another 4-0 in the same day. Burnley looked to be on top for the first 30 minutes. Then the second half came and Chelsea just dominated by scoring 4 goals. Havertz with 2, Pulisic looking good, goal and assist. Reece James came back from injury, first goal, got an assist for one of the Havertz goals as well.
Yeah, I was watching that game. Burnley, for the first 20-30 minutes, were the better team. They just didn't take their chances. I thought Aaron Lennon had a great start to the game. He beat Silva a couple of times. But they just weren't able to convert their chances. And at this point, it's quite critical they do that. If they got like a draw against Chelsea, it would have been very helpful for their survival chances. Although it is a tough team to play against, just makes it the relegation battle quite interesting. Although I do still reckon Burnley will stay up.
You still got them. They're currently sitting 18th in the league with Everton above them, but Everton have a couple of games in hand. So you would fancy Everton maybe to get a couple of points to see them clear, but
on paper,
Everton,
they should be able to. But the way they're playing, the form they've got, they're a real worry at the moment. Definitely in the candidates to be relegated.
Yes, there's quite a few teams: Norwich, Watford, Burnley, Everton, Leeds, Brentford.
I think Newcastle just sort of escaped the drop for now. Maybe before January, I would have said they're guaranteed to go down, but it looks like they've escaped that drop zone.
They've strengthened quite well.
Yeah, their signings they've made
key areas.
Trippier's been done well before he got injured.
Yeah, they got a good win, 2-1 over Brighton.
Yep.
This weekend. That relegation battle looks quite interesting. A few of the teams play each other in the next coming weeks. So.
Yeah, Burnley, Brentford coming up next. So that'll be quite pivotal to their chances of survival.
Definitely. As you mentioned, Brentford, should we move on to the Brentford-Norwich game, which was a 3-1
hat-trick for Ivan Toney. 2 of them were penalties, but still it was a great performance.
So it was one of his first games back since injury as well.
That's true. True. Eriksen started as well.
Yeah, Eriksen making his full debut back to Premier League life.
So that's good to see. He got that. So he took the corner, which led to the goal. Sort of the assist to the assist. I think it was flicked on by someone else. But yeah, it was a good start for him. I mean, in the formation that he plays at Brentford, he's in the sort of the midfield too, so he can sort of drop back and sort of dictate play. He's still got that quality on the ball.
Yeah, I did like Pukki's volley from the 92nd minute.
That was
So
nice.
even though it had no impact on the game, it was a nice goal he scored.
Yeah, he's still a serviceable striker. He just hasn't had a lot of chances this year. I don't think the Norwich team is really set up to survive in the Premier League. The signings they've made haven't done too well. And
They're favourites to go down, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain they will.
They're played 27 games, got 17 points. So Watford are the team above them with 19.
Yeah, they got the worst goal difference in the league as well, -42.
Yeah.
It's not a pretty sight.
No, even Watford's is 22, so it's 20 more goals they conceded. Definitely going to struggle, but one of these teams that maybe rebound straight back up.
Yeah, they're sort of a yo-yo team. The parachute money will help them when they go down. They've got experience of winning the championship. They did it last year. So I've no doubt they'll be contenders next year to go back up.
There was a few other games: Liverpool, West Ham, Palace, Wolves, 2-0. Leicester, Leeds. Any games you want to pick out from these that took your eye? I don't think there was.
I didn't watch any of them.
No. I mean, obviously Liverpool winning keeps the pressure on City.
Yeah. Liverpool winning is certainly makes the title race not as clear cut. Although I do reckon City will win overall.
Yeah, I think they've got. Was it still 3 points?
They got a 6-point lead, although Liverpool do have a game in hand. So yeah, it will be about 6 points if Liverpool win, which I'm sure they will.
Yes, I mean Chelsea, if Man City and Liverpool could be back in it, but I think that's a very long shot that Chelsea are gonna.
Yeah, Chelsea, I'm pretty sure will solidify that third place spot.
I mean, coming up, Chelsea have got Norwich and Newcastle, so two favourable games for them, really. The only issue is that they're quite in quick succession, which I believe one's Thursday and one's Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Arsenal and United. Arsenal's better form at the moment, but they're both slightly inconsistent, not playing top level, particularly United.
No.
So I think Chelsea are pretty safe in that third place spot.
Yeah, I think with Arsenal's games in hand, they can get within 2 points of Chelsea, but Chelsea's are one of their games in hand, so could possibly.
Yeah, and of course there's West
3.
Ham as well, who are knocking on the door. They could end up in fourth. You never know. They're only 3 points behind Arsenal. I know Arsenal have games in hand, but you never know.
You never know. While we're talking about Arsenal, move on to the Sunday games. So we've got Arsenal-Watford 3-2.
Yeah, it was a good
match.
Were
Arsenal fans quaking in their boots.
Yeah, a bit nervy times. It was a good goal by Cuco Hernandez. There was a Bicey.
Yes, that's a very nice goal.
Generally, just poor defence from Arsenal in that game. Attacking-wise, I thought they looked really good. Just defensively, they're pretty poor. Yeah,
a few maybe. Then that's where a position they need to strengthen in the summer. But generally, they've looked quite good this season.
Yeah, they're definitely improved as the season's gone on. That's true.
Again, they are a bit hit and miss. Probably the biggest talking point from the weekend is City versus United. 4-1. I know you watched this game.
Yeah, I watched it.
What's your view of it as being a United fan?
Well, I think we went into it in a way that probably City didn't expect. They probably planned for us to play Ronaldo up front, which we didn't. We played sort of a really weird system with Fernandes and Pogba sort of being the two most forward players. I wouldn't say it was successful because obviously we lost 4-1, but for the first half an hour, we were definitely holding our own. That they scored very early on. I think it was the first 5 minutes. And then United bounced back with quite a direct counter-attack, and it was a good finish by Sancho. Although Sancho later on, I think 10-20 minutes later, had another opportunity, probably an easier chance, and he absolutely skied it. So that wasn't great. But City were just City, basically. They were ruthless. Their passing was precise, especially in the right-hand side for United. City would cause them real troubles.
Yeah, there's a couple of pundits out there that have criticised United. Do you think this is your top 4 battle gone, or do you think you can still maybe get it?
I think there's still a chance of getting top 4. It all depends on how Arsenal perform, because they've got games in hand. But the worrying bit is the defence at the moment for United is just pretty dreadful. And the last 80 minutes, the last 20 minutes of the game City had like 90% possession, and you can
Yes,
tell that
yeah.
United players just gave up. So there's really no excuse for that. They need to sort that out pretty drastically and quickly. And I'm not sure how they're going to do that, to be honest. They need a manager to come in, a leader to sort that out, and they need to basically get rid of a lot of players who are just not performing well enough, and just bring in some people who have actual ambition to play the best football possible.
Definitely needs a whole reshape of the team. But there's a few players on that team that are rumored to, especially Pogba, is rumored to go elsewhere, isn't he?
Yeah, his contract's up at the end of the season, so I imagine he will leave. Same with Ronaldo. I think he might be on the move. Rashford as well. There's been question marks about him. His season's been pretty poor.
Yeah, he's not starting as many games as he wants to be, I saw today.
No. And when he has been, he's been pretty dreadful. So, yeah, a lot of question marks.
Moving on, talking about question marks, probably one of the biggest news stories of this week, if not the biggest, is Roman Abramovich putting Chelsea up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
Big impact for the club, but also the league, do you reckon?
Yes, yeah, definitely. He's been for the last 19 years, I think he's been in custodian
19 years
of Chelsea. They've been one of the best teams in England and Europe as well. So, yeah, obviously it will have a big impact on the club and maybe on the league. Who knows really what's going to come out of this. The thing is, we don't know how long it's going to take for him to sell, and we don't know who he's going to sell to. He might sell to someone who's willing to put a lot of money into the club, and then there might be not much difference in the way Chelsea operates, or they might sell to somebody who just doesn't want to put money in at all.
I know with Chelsea have made £900 million loss since the start of the Premier League, so it's a bit of a
since the start of the Premier League entire history, or just this season.
In the start of the Premier League's history.
Oh, okay.
But there's still a lot of money to write off Chelsea. Chelsea don't really make a lot of money.
No. Well, to be fair, not a lot of clubs make profit, especially in the Premier League. I don't think there's any team.
No. But Chelsea've got a few good assets, which could potentially line up some good suitors. Currently World Club champions, Champions League winners, got the most successful youth academy at the moment for transfers since 2015. So there's a few good assets in that. And it's a pretty good team to be inheriting. But it depends what happens in the backroom staff.
Yeah, I think as clubs go, it's one of the better clubs for an investor to buy into because it's already really established and it's already had a lot of backing and funding. The only issue maybe is, do people want to get associated with the club after, its links with Abramovich and the Russian investment from that side? It's slightly tainted. I think before the issues in Ukraine arised, if Abramovich wanted to sell, there'd be a lot more suitors coming. I'm not saying nobody will buy it, but it will take maybe a lot longer than it would have.
No, I think it's definitely reduced the price that he would be able to ask for it. 3 billion still probably too much, but there's rumours to be about 10 different bidders. A couple of them are Americans.
So there's a new bidder every week, isn't there?
Yeah, but I reckon it will probably go to someone that we haven't even heard of yet. So, but apparently I heard today that Roman Abramovich doesn't want to be selling to anyone that's got links to like a ongoing conflict in the world.
Yeah, that's probably wise.
I think that concludes all of the football. Should we move on to the F1?
Yeah, let's do it.
So F1 just had their Barcelona test. There's been news in concerns that links it back to Russia with Haas, with Mazepin. They're getting rid of their sponsor as well. Any thoughts on that?
So Mazepin's father owns a company called Uralkali, which is a Russian company, which was one of the main sponsors for Haas. I think it funded a third of their budget.
Yeah, I think
so.
Right.
With them out of the picture, there's a lot of question marks in regards to how they're going to get that funding. Is Gene Haas going to put more money into the team, which seems unlikely? And the main one actually is who's going to be the new driver for the season.
Yes, yeah, I believe There's some actual. I could read a news article today.
Yeah,
That,
I think Oscar Piastri, the Australian, is going to take up the next practice session with Haas, but I'm not sure who goes further with the team after that. Maybe it'll be him, maybe it'll be someone else.
if you were Haas, would you take a more experienced driver, or would you take the risk of?
Yeah, well, the thing is, if they don't have much money, then probably Piastri would be the best option because I think he's part of the Ferrari Academy, a bit like Schumacher. So he'd probably be free. Or they could go somewhere with a bit more experience, maybe like Hulkenberg or someone like that. Who
Isn't Oscar Piastri part of the Alpine
he might be actually.
Academy because he's Alpine's reserve driver? I think Piazza Fittipaldi, their current reserve driver.
Fittipaldi, yeah.
Fittipaldi, is he one that could take the mantle? He's driven the car a couple of times, a couple of races, filled in for Roman Grosjean.
Yeah, maybe.
He had his accident.
His I think it was his uncle rather than his dad, Fittipaldi, who was a Formula One race driver. He was quite successful.
It was his grandson.
Is it grandson?
Emerson. Grandson was Emerson.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I'm not sure how well he'll do in the car.
But yeah, he hasn't had great results since he did actually break both his legs in 2018. So
well, that's not a good sign, is it?
No. The other drivers I've seen linked to it are Giovinazzi, currently racing in Formula E, and he is a Ferrari backup driver alongside Mick Schumacher.
Yeah, Italian Jesus.
I've seen Callum Ilott linked because he's a Ferrari youth driver. He's got a bit of experience. Could go
British
toe-to-toe again with Mick Schumacher.
Yeah.
Or the other one would be the return of Kevin Magnussen.
Have they mentioned Grosjean at all?
No, I haven't seen anything with Grosjean.
Yeah, perhaps he doesn't return after his crash.
I think with Grosjean, he's signed to, is it IndyCar?
Yeah, he's an IndyCar.
Which is the same with Callum Ilott. That's the main issue that would be there. He's just signed up for the 2022 IndyCar.
Yeah, it's the finances of getting them out.
It would, especially Haas, probably don't have that much finance, so be interesting to see.
Yeah,
who they get and how they go forward. Or one that just slipped my mind, Nico Hulkenberg.
Yeah, Hulkenberg would be a good option. He's a reserve driver, isn't he?
Yes, for
Aston.
I was going to say Aston Martin.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good driver.
Yes, yeah.
I think he's up there with the most races for out in a race wing. I think he might be top actually.
Yeah, he's. I know he's raced in 179 Grand Prix.
Yeah,
I don't know how many.
He's never won. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's got podium actually. He might have once or twice.
Just going back, Norris and Verstappen have both signed new deals. Verstappen signed a 6-year deal, I think. Is it worth about 40 million?
Yes, about that. Yeah.
And then Norris has signed a shorter deal, but still about 3 years. So
yeah, significant money as well. Yeah, it's good for the team to secure these drivers. These are definitely the drivers of the future and the present, I guess. They're very good.
Verstappen's world champion at the moment with the number 1. So
yeah,
it'd be interesting to see what he does with Hamilton this season, especially with Russell now with Hamilton, whether them two will race each other or whether it be more of a
team
Bottas.
Yeah. It'll be good this season. I reckon Russell will actually win a few races, and I think he'll actually take some of the fight to Hamilton.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose the only thing that concerns me about this season is a lot of people might think there might be a lot more hype around it, especially with what happened last season. Last season was quite a rare event.
There will be a lot of hype
F1,
around it.
So I reckon there'll be a lot more hype around it, and whether it will disappoint, we'll find out. It might even trump last season, so be good to actually see.
Yeah, for sure.
But there is some changes from last season. We've got new racing directors and also a virtual control room, basically like a VAR system.
That's definitely a good decision to bring the new race directors in.
Yes.
Although I don't blame Michael Massey for the mistakes that happened in the last race. It was, I think, more the structure that he was being placed in and the procedures that were in place. Hopefully, with the VAR and the altering of the directors, will mean that there's fewer mistakes and fewer chances of mistakes happening.
Yeah, it's Michael Massey was probably a bit of a scapegoat. Red Bull's Christian Horner, has said that Mercedes have sort of bullied the removal of the race director Michael Massey. I did see that today.
Yeah, maybe. I think at the time, the way that they were contacting Massey and asking him to do this and do that was not great. Although you can't really blame the teams for that because obviously they're allowed to do that. But I think they've stopped the communication between the teams and the directors now, which is another good step.
Yes.
Or at least they're not going to televise it and promote it.
No. It's, they did provide some good entertainment, though. But moving on, a couple of new rules, especially around the sprint races. We've got another 3 at Imola, Red Bull Austria Grand Prix, and the Brazil Interlagos. We've got sprints of 25% of the race, and there'll be now points from 1st to 8th, with 1st getting 8th and 2nd getting 7, and so on until 8 that gets 1.
Mm-hmm.
Good move, maybe.
Yeah, I think the sprint race is a bit hit or miss. Last year it was interesting. There was one at Silverstone, I think.
Yes,
I think that was the one where the one where Perez spun out?
Yeah, I think it was.
Position. I think now that they got the points allocated to it, the 8 points, which is quite a lot, to be honest, for a win in a sprint race. There's probably a lot more emphasis on doing well in that.
Yeah, it's definitely. Maybe it's a bit more to promote like the second drivers, and maybe for like Russell, maybe to get points, if for like team orders, maybe if they let them race. But it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. But it's definitely one we'll be following on the podcast. Stay tuned. There's one other rule that come from last year's Belgium Grand Prix. So last year they raced 2 laps around the Spa racetrack behind a safety car just to get the 25% of the points, I believe. The new points now this time, it has to be 2 racing laps without a safety car or virtual safety car intervention.
Yeah, so that essentially means that Russell would not have got that win
No.
if these rules were in place. But these rules are definitely a good thing. You can't really say it's a victory if you just drove around the safety car for 2 laps.
Yeah, because there is no overtaking or anything in that. So
yeah, to his credit, he did get a pole on with a Williams though. So
yes, he's definitely a good talent. I reckon he'll definitely win a few championships.
Yeah, eventually, maybe not this year. Just seeing the dynamic between him and Hamilton this year will be interesting. See if he can actually challenge and see how the structure is of if he's allowed to actually race Hamilton, because Hamilton definitely is the number 1 driver. We'll be interested to see that dynamic. Yeah,
he definitely is. Whether they treat him a bit like a bit of more, I was going to say rookie, but rookie's not the right word because he is an experienced driver in F1, but
less so than Hamilton.
Yeah. Moving on, just to slightly look beyond this season, there's been news this week that Michael Andretti is aiming to form a Formula 1 team by 2024. I believe he's been trying to buy out Haas for a number of years, but he's going to go alone and do his own F1 team. Do you think this will be a 11th team on the grid, or do you reckon he'll replace a team?
Possibly Haas might fold by then. Who knows with their finances at the moment? It's a real possibility. But it would be interesting to have another team involved. I think it's definitely possible.
It's definitely in the rules. There definitely is in the rules to have more than 10 teams.
Yeah. And I think he wants like he's American, so he wants an American-based team, at least 1 American driver. That's what he said. So that would be interesting. He's also said that he's willing to put in 200 million of his own money to replace the revenue loss from other teams for TV revenues, as there's another team involved.
Yeah, he's just trying to butter the deal up, isn't he?
Exactly.
To accept him in. But he's got a few other teams, especially is it IndyCar and Formula E? I believe he's got teams.
Yeah, he's got a lot of different racing teams.
Yeah, so it'd be good to see how this one progresses. I believe he's got an engine deal already lined up, but I'm not sure who that's with.
Really?
Yeah, I read something earlier that he did, but it didn't specify who it was. Again, in 2026, there's new engine of Audi or Porsche coming in, aren't they?
Yeah.
They look to be coming in. So whether that's something he might be working with.
Who knows on that one?
Who knows?
4 years is a long time away anyway, so who knows what the new how the engines will perform in the new cars as well. So
yeah, that 2026 is when the new engine design is due. I think that's why they're coming in, but they're still talking about what it's going to mean, whether it's a simpler engine or something. It'd be interesting to see. As you're from the Pitchsider, not many people probably would have heard of this as of yet. So do you want to just give our viewers a little rundown of what it is?
Yeah, so the Pitchsider is like a football blog that I have, which aims to highlight news stories or just interesting things in the footballing world that I would like people to know about. It's on the pitchsider.blogspot.com, and it's also on Twitter as well. So have a look at that. There should be some new stories coming out soon. One of them is a little exclusive here. One of them is about what I think was the best game of this century so far. There's a few more years to go.
It's definitely a good topic, but it's a lot of games you're gonna have to try and.
To be fair,
down.
yeah, I haven't watched all the games this century. As a disclaimer, I haven't shuffled my way through them yet.
Yeah, it's gonna maybe. It will be a future podcast episode. Once you've written the article, maybe we'll discuss it on the podcast.
For sure.
Be interested. Get maybe a special guest on to come and give their views.
Yeah. Well, next week we are looking to get a guest as well. So that'll be interesting.
Yes. And next week we'll start a quiz. It will be the start of the quiz. So that will be interesting to see who knows more knowledge about F1 and football.
So start revising, listeners.
My guess probably will be you, Toby. But
we'll see.
As you are the expert. And that leads us to the end of our podcast. Please like and review our podcast. Get in contact with us on our socials. On Twitter is at the Pitchsider. Our Instagram is at Grass and Gravel Podcast, or by email grass and gravel podcast at gmail.com with any comments or questions you will have for us, and we may feature them in the next episode. Thank you for joining me, Toby, for this week.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. I'll see you next week.
It's been a pleasure. Yes, and hopefully we'll have a special guest joining us. And thank you, listener, for listening. And goodbye.
Bye-bye.